Hello and welcome to our first live here on the Profit by Design podcast for 2024. We are actually kicking off 2024 with planning to thrive in 2024. That's the focus. So this is the fourth in our series on the Profit by Design podcast on strategic planning. And if you've been following along the last 3 weeks, I have taken you through really looking at your own resilience and how you can build your resilience. We've done the gift to yourself exercise. And by the way, everything that I've taught you in the last few weeks on the podcast, I did for myself as my own reflection on 2023, looking at what were the wins and successes, the losses, the breakdowns, and the breakthroughs. And it's so eye-opening because I think we all have this experience where when we're in the thick of things, it feels like, oh, we're not making any progress. But it's so fun and refreshing, I think, to reflect on the wins from 2023. So if you're joining me live, I would love it if you would just post in the chat, what's one of your biggest wins, either personally or professionally from the last year that you're really excited about or proud of. One of my personal wins that I'm very proud of is I was very intentional to improve my strength this past year. So I started working with a personal trainer in January of 2023, and I kept that up with weekly meetings in addition to doing my own strength training in between those weekly meetings with the personal trainer. And I'm a lot stronger in 2024 than I was at the start of 2023. And I feel really proud of that. And so I was thinking about, well, what is my goal for 2024 around my health? And my goal is I want to increase my strength by 10%, my muscle mass by 10% over the next year. So that's what I'm working on. I'd love to hear what you're excited about in 2023. So if you're live here with us, please post your comments in the chat. As we kick off today, I want to let you know that we have a workbook to accompany the strategic planning series, and you're going to want to have it, especially today, because I'm going to reference handouts and charts that are in that workbook that will be very handy to you when you're planning your profit in 2024. And that's the topic today, is planning your profit and planning to thrive in 2024 versus being stuck in the survival trap. So if you feel like you've been stuck in the survival trap, and I know I've been there, I know others are there right now. I want you to know you are not alone, and there is a way out. And that's what we do at Tap the Potential, is we love to help entrepreneurs like you take your life back from your business and really get to the point of thriving. And that means having more money in your bank account than ever. And it also means having more time for what matters most. And that's where we're headed today. We're going to dive into all of this. So make sure you have that strategic planning workbook downloaded. You can access it at tapthepotential.com/plan. Tapthepotential.com/plan. And I want to tell you, when you download the strategic planning workbook, we've also included a special bonus for you. And that is the Tap the Potential Strategic Planner. There's a PDF of our planner, and our planner, we're very excited about it. We published it for the first time last year. Melissa Swire, our lead strategist at Tap the Potential, created it. And this is your quarterly goal setting guide. So all this visioning that we're doing, and coming up with what are you going to work on in the business, and what's your business vision for 2024, what's your personal vision for 2024. Your strategic planner helps you break that down into quarterly goals to move things forward, and then how to take daily action. But one of the other exciting things in the planner is each month there are powerful questions for reflection. And that's what I hear from our clients over and over. They talk about how impactful it is to do that monthly review and really tune into yourself with respect to how are you doing with what's important to you. So I can't stress to you enough that, we all get excited about the new year at the beginning of the year. And, I'm going to the gym. The gym is crowded. It is so hard to find a parking spot because all the people who've made New Year's resolutions are suddenly at the gym. And they told us in our classes at the gym 2 weeks ago to expect that. And they said, and don't worry, that will drop off by the end of January. It'll go back to normal. And so I don't want you to be one of those people who drops off in your good intentions by the end of the month. And that's where getting this strategic planner can be so helpful. So we're giving you the PDF of the planner when you download the strategic planning workbook at tapthepotential.com/plan. Okay, so let's talk about getting out of the survival trap in 2024. So the survival trap, and this is I'm going to hold up an image of it for you here, but this is in your strategic planning workbook. It's on page 10. And if you look at the survival trap image, the circle in the center is the current moment. And we are faced daily with choices in the current moment in our businesses. And a lot of times, like if we're having a cash flow crisis and we're struggling, we will make decisions that get us through that cash flow crisis. Like we'll take on work from an undesirable client just because it brings some money in. And so if you look at that, those decisions look like, they're helping me get through the moment. So maybe they're in alignment with my vision. But if you're fully focused on your vision, you're taking actions that directly get you there, that don't take you a little bit off track. And the problem with those actions that take us just a little bit off track is if you track them over time, they actually take us very far away from our vision. And at Tap the Potential, we work with a lot of business owners that have been in business for years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. And still not achieving the vision. And that is a result of these repeated decisions that get us through the moment and look like they're kind of aligned with the vision, but they take us very far off track over time. So if that's you, if you see yourself in that and you're kind of at that point where, you know what, I'm really tired. I am tired of how things are going in my business. I want to make a change. Then this whole process that we're doing, the strategic planning, is so, so important. And I also want to let you know that next week we are running our Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart. And so the visioning that we've been doing this whole time is about just you getting the idea of what you want and really connecting with that and what's important to you in your business and in your personal life. And next week, when we go through the Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart, that's where I walk you through each step of the Tap the Potential solution to help you design your business so that it gives you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. So that's where the how-to, it's where we really get into the nitty-gritty of the how-to. So if you're excited about everything we've been doing on the strategic planning series, your next step is to be sure that you are with us in the Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart. So it kicks off Monday, January 8th. And for those of you who are listening to this and it's recorded, it's on the podcast, and you're thinking, well, that was just a few days ago, I missed it. No, we are going to leave the Jumpstart up for a little bit. I'm not going to tell you how long. I'm not sure how long we're going to leave it up, but you're not too late to get signed up. We record each day so you can access those recordings, and our success team lead, Caitlin Beaver, we'll be happy to reach out to you and make sure to answer your questions, even if you're doing it as a self-study option through the Jumpstart. So we want to make sure you have access to this, because that's where we really get you going with the Tap the Potential solution. Okay, so we want to get you out of the survival trap. And a big part of being in the survival trap is understanding that we can plan for our profit versus waiting for profit to be an event that just happens. Like somehow magically we still have money left over in the business at the end of the year. That's not how profit happens. That's how I used to run my business years ago. And as a matter of fact, I was just reflecting a little while ago on when I was in the survival trap in a very big way. I had been in business a few years. The revenue was growing consistently every year, but I found myself working harder and harder and harder and having less time for myself and being able to pay myself less. And I thought, this is crazy. I can't pay myself as much this year as I did last year, but the revenue in the business is higher. What is going on? And then there would be these periods where we'd get a lot of cash into the business and I would go out and run out and pay bills and make these big purchases or hire a new team member because I thought, wow, we've got money now. I can hire that person that we've been wanting to help with this marketing effort or this social media over here. And then 6 weeks later, I'd be back to, I can't pay the bills. I don't understand what's going on. And so it was a cycle of endless cash flow worries, and that's a big part of what keeps us in the survival trap. And it was around that time that I had a conversation with my good friend and colleague, Mike McAllowitz, and he introduced me to the Profit First system. And his way of introducing it to me, by the way, was he had a napkin and he had a pen and he wrote out the Profit First system on this napkin. That was long before the book was published, by the way. And he showed it to me and he said, "You're not alone." He said, "So many business owners really struggle with this." And I said, "Mike, the shame that I feel is that I'm a business coach and I feel like I should be able to help my clients with a budget for their business. Like there's nobody that's writing about budgeting in small business." And that's where the Profit First system became so helpful to me. And what Mike explained to me is when I was putting all of my money in one bank account, it would look like I had a lot of money available. So I would go out and spend and buy things and purchase and hire people. And he said, "But what you're failing to account for are like taxes and profit and owner's pay." And I said, "Yeah, you're right." I said, "It was the payroll tax that got me this last time. Like I wasn't expecting that." And then the quarterly estimate taxes were due and I didn't plan for that. And so with Profit First, when we have multiple bank accounts and we allocate our money in these bank accounts, then we have a more realistic view of the cash that we actually have available to run the business on and pay ourselves with. But the beauty of Profit First is that when money comes into the business, we allocate it to profit or owner's pay first, right? So before bills are paid, we're making sure that the business owner, that's you, is getting paid. And that's really the heart of Profit First. And so as I started using Profit First, I was amazed. I was blown away at the money accumulating in my owner's pay and profit. I thought, this is really good. All of a sudden, I feel like there's a cushion here and a safety net. And then I started sharing Profit First with our clients. And as our clients started accumulating money in their owner's pay and profit account, something very strange happened. I started hearing from one client after another that they thought they had too much in their owner's pay account, right? Like all of a sudden there's a lot of money there and that doesn't feel right. Like maybe I don't need this much because we've been getting by on like $70,000 a year. Why do I suddenly need to pay myself 150,000 a year? Well, that's the heart of what we're talking about today is that we as business owners are so used to being in the survival trap. We're so used to breaking even that we forget that if we were employed in a corporate job, we would have benefits. We'd have health insurance. We'd have retirement savings. We would have life insurance. We'd have paid days off. And we have gotten so used to running our business without having those benefits for ourselves, we forget that that's part of what is included in the owner's pay account. So, if you have started using Profit First and you're seeing that money accumulate in your owner's pay account and you're having this guilt over paying yourself too much, I would encourage you to look at, well, are you paying health insurance? Do you have good health insurance? Do you have life insurance? Do you have disability insurance? Are you saving for retirement? Are you saving for your kids' college? All of those things that we just put on the back burner when we're in the survival trap. So I want you to start planning for that. And I want you to really understand the potential owner's pay and profit that exists in your business. So I'm going to put this chart up on the screen, and this is in your strategic planning workbook. So you'll have access to it. This is the chart of target allocation percentages from the book Profit First. This is based on financially performing healthy companies across industries. And you'll notice the top row says real revenue. So we're focused not on your total revenue that comes in, but your real revenue. So if you have a lot of cost of goods sold or you pay a lot of subcontractors, you want to subtract that out. And that's how you get to your real revenue. And then you want to look across the columns and find your real revenue range. Just for the sake of our discussion here, we're going to focus on column C for simple numbers, and these are businesses that are doing between 500,000 and a million in real revenue. And so I think what's enlightening about this is that there's the opportunity in a business like this for 20% owners pay and 15% profit. Well, okay. 15% profit off of $1 million is 150,000. 20% owners pay off of $1 million is $200,000. That's a combination of $350,000 that could be in the business available to you, seller's discretionary income or seller's discretionary earnings, essentially, when you're getting ready to sell the business. You want to have this money in your business. And for most business owners that I talk to, especially when they're starting with us at Tap the Potential, they look at those numbers and they say, I can't pay myself anywhere near 200,000 a year or even 150,000 a year. And so what we do when you start working with us at Tap the Potential is we do a profit assessment on your business. And we look at what your current allocations would be for profit and owner's pay, tax, and operating expenses based on the last year or two of your profit and loss statements. And that gives us an idea of here's where you are now and here's where you could be. And I really like to look at that as a treasure hunt, because once we've identified that gap, now we know what to look for, because that's the profit potential. That's the owner's pay potential that exists within your business. And it's our job to help you find it and help you capture it. And I think one of the things that is really interesting is when we read Profit First, we come away from that with the idea, you know what, I should just cut my expenses. That's because inevitably that's why we're not paying ourselves the profit and owner's pay that we should be according to the Profit First target allocation percentages, because our expenses are too high. Well, our expenses are too high because we've never had good guidelines for how to run the business, which that's just kind of brings me full circle back to where I was when I had that conversation with Mike. And I said, I don't understand. Have money come in and then it goes out the door and I feel rich one day, but then the next day I feel like I'm broke again. And the Profit First, it gives us our guardrails in our business and says, okay, this is the operating expense budget. This is what you have that you can run the business on. So I'm going to put the Profit First chart back here on the screen. And you'll see that in a business that's doing $1 million in revenue, 50% of that $1 million in real revenue would be allocated for operating expenses. So that means $500,000 for the year. And then you have to look at, okay, if I'm supposed to be running this business on operating expenses of $500,000 a year, how much have I actually run the business on? And maybe it's $750,000, right? So now all of a sudden, you know exactly where your owner's pay and profit has gone. It's gone into the operating expenses. And it's so easy to say, well, I should just cut expenses and that will help me pay myself more. Yes and no. I've worked with so many businesses now, and we can only cut expenses so far before we really start cutting into the meat and the muscle of the business and weaken the overall business. And so it's a dance of looking for expenses to cut and identifying, what is the sweet spot of this business? Where is the most profitable revenue coming from? Which clients and customers and which services are we delivering? And then also looking at, okay, if that's the sweet spot of the business, do we have expenses that are happening that are not related to the sweet spot of the business? That's a second round of expense cutting that we can do. And we always find expenses that can be cut once we've identified the sweet spot. But then it becomes a matter of running the business more and more efficiently. And that's where the Tap the Potential solution comes in, because the biggest thing that happens, and the reason so many of us stay stuck in the survival trap, is that as our business grows, inefficiency creeps in. And the number one place that inefficiency creeps in is as soon as we add more people to our team. Our payroll is the biggest expense in the business, across most businesses. Typically, payroll is going to be your biggest expense. And we have so much inefficiency on our payroll in our businesses. And I I think this really comes about because most of us, when we go into business, are really good at the thing that we do, that technical thing that we do so well. And then when we start hiring people to help us do that, now all of a sudden we have to lead them and we have to train them and manage them. And those aren't skills that we're born with. No one's trained us in those. And even if you have an MBA, they haven't taught you how to be a leader in a small business. That is a unique skill set. And until we learn those skills, we allow a lot of inefficiency on our payroll. So inefficiency comes in with team members that are not properly trained or taking too long to get our team members trained and get them up to speed. Meanwhile, we're paying them, but we're so busy doing our survival trap activities, we don't have time to come over and spend and train them. I've actually had conversations with business owners who'll tell me, yes, we just hired a new person last week. I haven't met them yet. I think they're being trained. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you think they're being trained? They're on your payroll now for a week and you have no idea. And so that's where the survival trap really starts to happen. And so we want to use the Tap the Potential solution to get you out of the survival trap. Everything that's baked into the Tap the Potential solution is designed to prevent crises and to prevent problems and to set your business up for success going forward. So when we're working with you, like step 2 of the Tap the Potential solution is to niche down with that clearly defined sweet spot. So many problems go away once we have that sweet spot in place, because now you know who are the right customers and clients for you to focus on and which services you should be delivering. And now you have a clear marketing plan. So a lot of the things that were previously kind of confusing in the past and you weren't sure where to focus, all of a sudden you know exactly where to focus. And it also creates that opportunity for you to run your business with a leaner and mightier team. So you probably don't need as many people on your payroll and you can have more efficiency there. But the other beautiful thing about planning to thrive in 2024 is not just about you thriving, but what does it mean for your team to thrive? Like, you want to be able to plan for giving raises to your A players. You want to plan for the A players that you're going to need to hire in 2024 and making sure that you can afford to hire them. And so in the Jumpstart next week, I will walk you through step 3 of the Tap the Potential solution, which is all around innovation. And I've actually done a couple of episodes recently on the Profit by Design podcast around innovation and pricing for profit and how to roll out price increases, because so many of us fail to increase our prices and keep up with inflation, that we get into the survival trap where we can't afford to hire A players. We can't afford to give raises. We can't afford to do training with our team. And then we lose our A players, which is the worst. We don't want to lose A players once they're on our team. We want to retain them. And so a big part of being a great place to work and that employer of choice that attracts a steady stream of A players is that you are intentionally planning for the ability to have benefits for your A players, where they can take time off in the business and they can trust that if they do good work, they're going to be compensated for it in some way. And that there's opportunities for team development, retreats, training for your team. All of that goes in. And the other thing that you need to be thinking about as you're planning for your profit in 2024 is looking at growth, right? So if you think about, well, how much do you plan to grow? It's very easy to say, you know what, we want to increase our sales by 50%. Well, are you sure you want to increase your sales by 50%? Because that could really put a strain on the business and force you to make rash decisions and take rash action when it comes to hiring and getting people in place to be able to deliver on those sales, which could undermine the quality of your service and cause more problems where you have more customer complaints and rework and inefficiency that creeps back in. So it's very possible if you put too much emphasis on growth and growing the revenue and you're not paying enough attention to the quality of the service delivery and making sure that mistakes aren't happening and that things are systematized and happening in a streamlined way, that will undermine your profitability. So I would encourage you to think about, well, what is the sweet spot of our business and how much do we want to grow the sweet spot of our business? So if you want to double the sweet spot of your business over the next 2 or 3 years, what does that look like in terms of the team that you're going to need to hire to deliver on that increase in the sweet spot? And I love that idea of increasing sales by 30% a year because you'll double in 3 years' time, which is a very comfortable pace for doubling a business. And it allows you the time that you need to hire the right team members and not do it under pressure, but really be able to wait until you have those A players who are just right for the roles that you have. So if you're going to look at over the course of 3 years, doubling the sweet spot of your business, how many team members will you need? And if you look at a 30% increase in sales from the sweet spot over the next year, what team members are you going to need to add? Okay, so that tells you, and then you can start to budget for what you're going to have to pay them. And remember, it's not just the hourly wage or the salary that you're paying them. There's payroll taxes. There's benefits that get in there too. So you need to budget for all of that. And one of the things that I think is so helpful about this particular chart with Profit First is you can see, okay, I have 50% for operating expenses, 50% of my real revenue that I can use for operating expenses. And as you add revenue to the business, if you follow that 50% if you add $200,000 of revenue, well, $100,000 of that now is available for operating expenses. So that tells you, oh, if I need to use that for payroll, I can use that for payroll. And if I look at our sweet spot and we want to increase it by 30%, we're going to need to add 2 new team members. So that means I have $100,000 available to add these 2 new team members. So it's not just for their salaries or their wages, though. You also have to remember that you're going to have to increase your seats on the different platforms that you use. So software and application expenses start going up. You may need physical office space, desks, computers, all the things, right, that go along with this. And so you want to plan ahead for that rather than being reactive. And reactive is when we're in the survival trap and when we're saying, okay, we've really pushed sales this year and now we're really busy. So we need more team members. I'm going to throw up an ad and whoever comes along, I'm going to hire them because we just need some warm bodies to get the work done around here. That totally undermines your ability to be profitable going forward. So if you're in the survival trap and you're recognizing, I really want 2024 to be different. I need this to be a better year for me. I encourage you to sign up for our Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart because we're going to walk through how do you design your business to be sustainably profitable. We're going to walk through how you create that efficiency in your business, efficiency of money and efficiency of time, so that you're putting your time on your $10,000 an hour activities that really help to grow the business in a sustainable way. And you are running the business very efficiently with respect to having a clear sweet spot and hiring A players who deliver on that sweet spot. And one of the beautiful things about hiring A players is that you don't need as many A players to get the work done. A players are 900 to 1200% more productive than warm body team members. And so if you are focused on improving the quality of your team, and really making sure that you don't keep people on your team who aren't A players, you will see that you can pay your A players more, and they're happier because they're not having to clean up the mistakes of the warm bodies on the team, and things just hum along a lot more effectively in the business. So we're going to be going through all of this next week in the Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart. So make sure that you are signed up at tapthepotential.com/jumpstart. And if you're saying, well, I missed it, it started Monday and here it is Thursday or Friday, don't despair, sign up. You will have access to the recordings, and Caitlin Beaver will reach out to you and she will ask you about your goals. She's going to be very curious about the strategic planning that you've done here with us on the strategic planning series and what you're needing to get out of the Jumpstart to support you in following through and executing on this great strategic planning that you've been doing with us for the last few weeks. So this is the end of our strategic planning series here on the podcast. Thank you so much for being with me during these last 4 weeks. And next week, Melissa Swire, our lead strategist at Tap the Potential, is going to be here with you live. She is going to walk you through how to use the strategic planner so that you are taking you're breaking down into quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, and you're taking daily $10,000 an hour activity, those $10,000 an hour actions on a daily basis to help you achieve your vision for 2024. And Melissa is going to talk about time blocking and how to make sure you are creating space on your calendar to do the highest value activities that really move your business forward. All of this is designed to get you out of this survival trap and get you moving directly towards your vision. So thank you so much for being here with me. Melissa will be back here next Friday live with you, 11:30 Central. Bye for now.